Hey everybody, welcome to the Magic Weekly News Update for January 29th, 2018 on the Mana Leek. I'm John as always, and it was a pretty light news week this week. We've got a few fluffy things and story time, and that's about it. The biggest, most talked about news story this week was the massive investigative article that blew up a huge conspiracy within Wizards of the Coasts. They no longer care about what the word island means. An Imager album detailed this revelation, showing how beginning around Mirrodin, the definition of the word island started to be abandoned. Lakes with trees, floating rocks with waterfalls, rivers, flat-out swamps, and even holes where islands could be have been passed off as islands. Clearly something is up within Wizards. This will probably kill Magic off for good. The Nationals 2018 promo was revealed, and it's a pretty good one. It's Flooded Strand. A very tropical-looking Flooded Strand at that. This looks absolutely gorgeous, and I'd love to get my hands on one for my cube, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it to Nationals or not. We'll see how many points I can accrue during the year, and if the interest strikes me in the fall when it happens. And yes, it does look like that Super Mario Kart level that we all remember and love. Finally, one more tiny bit of news. Unstable is getting another printing. If you were seeing Unstable product drying up a bit, don't worry, more will be on the way. This is great news in that it'll keep the prices down a bit for me to finish my cube, and if the Unstable livestream draft goes well, which I'm hoping to get done in the next month or so, there will still be boxes for me to buy to do another one and continue building my cube. With the news out of the way, it's time for story time. This week we continue the fight for the Immortal Sun and Vraska and Jace's side story. In the story, which sounds like a newspaper headline, the Arbiter of Law left chaos in his wake. We start back with Huatli and Angrath cutting a swath through the jungle towards the city, with Huatli demanding Angrath stop before sending a dinosaur to pin him to the ground. Tishana approaches from behind, asking if she has him under control. Tishana, displaying the simic intuition about the multiverse we've seen many times on many planes now, identifies that Angrath and Huatli drift on similar currents, and asks Huatli what she sees when she glimpses beyond their veil. Huatli leaves Angrath pinned under the dinosaur and heads towards the city with Tishana, apologizing to Angrath and telling him that they had a deal first. They reach the city just as the vampires have taken control and Vona has thrown Kumena out the window. Tishana quickly summons a gust of wind that cushions Kumena's fall, stopping him from hitting the ground. As the pair rush towards the tower, a siren, a human, and a goblin race towards it as well. The pair enter the tower and have a short fight with the vampires before a siren appears outside the window, singing a song which lures all inside the tower towards the window. As they do, Breaches leaps into the window yelling "Violence!" as he attacks Vona. As the pirates join the fight for the sun, Angrath bursts in the door, throwing the head of the dinosaur Huatli left pinning him to the ground. "You are awful," shouts Huatli at him. "You made your dinosaur stand on top of me," roars Angrath. More fighting, a scramble, and a dive for the Immortal Sun. Huatli, Angrath, Vona, and Tishana all touch the sun at once. Huatli's perception immediately expands, seeing the entire city and hearing the elder dinosaurs at all corners of the city awaken. Not only that, she also hears the Sun Empire's army approaching the city. They wouldn't have only sent her, she realizes. Huatli brings her attention back to the room, deciding how to end this fight. Vona, exhausted from the previous fight, seems the obvious target, and with subtle nods, Tishana agrees. They prepare to pounce when Breaches and the siren gasp, with Breaches asking, "Malcolm, did you just hear Jace too?" A pause, and the floor collapses beneath them all. Switching back to Vraska, Jace, and Azor, Azor asks who Jace has brought for him to seal if it's not the Gorgon, and if there's no prisoner, then obviously they're here for the lock to his prison, the Immortal Sun, which is embedded in the ceiling above them. Vraska suddenly feels very unwary, wondering why her employer wants a device that locks away planeswalkers. Azor uses some hieromancy, a type of magic used to enforce order, law magic basically, to attempt to control the pair, but Jace angrily snaps back that he'll refer to Vraska as captain, and it works. Azor paws at his head and then begins an oration, explaining that for thousands of years he planeswalked through countless worlds full of brutal, violent, and disordered societies, and that he brought them stability. He created governments and laws and brought order to many worlds, including the system of guilds on Ravnica. When asked why he didn't stay on Ravnica, he callously tells them that Ravnica was one of many, and he left when he was finished. He asks Jace if he's been upholding his part as living guild pact. Jace tells him that no, he hasn't been. He lashes out at Azor that he made of his failsafe a living mortal with no gift of governance. It would be impossible for him to accomplish the task of living guild pact. Azor insists the guild system was perfect, and that if they became corrupt, it wasn't his fault. Vraska angrily tells him that he manipulated worlds that were not his, only to abandon them when he wanted to move on to the next. Turning to the Immortal Sun and Ixalan, Vraska demands to know what it is and what he did here. Azor tells them that the Immortal Sun was built to imprison a single enemy. He gave up his spark to create it, but that his friend must have failed their part of the plan. The friend was supposed to help Azor regain his spark after luring their enemy to Ixalan, but that never happened. Azor doesn't know what happened to his friend, but that it was nearly 1,000 years ago that the plan was enacted. In that time, he attempted to fix Ixalan, gifting the Immortal Sun to tribes in an attempt to bring them to order, but they all abused the power. It's not the system that is faulty, he says. It's the people. And so he continues to try to fix Ixalan. It was never broken, Vraska yells at Azor as Azor prepares to attack them. Jace stops Vraska from petrifying Azor, telling her that he doesn't deserve death. Jace, using his magic, demands Azor let Vraska talk. Vraska tells Azor he's spawned hundreds of years of conflict on Ixalan, that the prison she was kept in on Ravnica and the subjugation of the Golgari were his doing, and that he deserves punishment. Jace steps forward and begins using the power of the Azorius, the living guild pact, and uses Azor's own law magic against him, accusing him of causing imbalance on Ravnica and countless other planes, declaring that Ravnica was built to be unstable after he left, and that he meddled without ever thinking about the ramifications of his choices. Azor, through the pain, says their intention was to imprison Nicol Bolas. Vraska immediately knows the name as her employer and sees an expression from Jace as he recovers another memory, which she sees. A memory of Bolas. Jace, momentarily taken aback, asks Azor if he may see how Azor knows who Bolas is. Azor allows him, and without revealing to us, Jace sees the memory of how Azor knows of Bolas. Continuing with the law magic, Jace tells him that though his intentions were noble, the effect of the Immortal Sun on Ixalan has been catastrophic, and sentence him to be master and caretaker of Useless Island, the island Jace appeared on when he first came to Ixalan. Azor, bound by the law, immediately flies out of the tower and into the distance. Vraska asks Jace, why does Bolas want an artifact that imprisons planeswalkers? Jace, looking at her with dread, tells her she needs to know who she's working for. And that's it for story time for the week and for the news for the week. It was a very light news week. There wasn't much going on. It was all kind of fluffy. But we got a heck of a story. We got to learn about the background of Azor. He's been punished to be caretaker of Useless Island. And I believe they're about to make the ceiling collapse as the Immortal Sun is taken by Tezzeret in the next story or two. So we'll see what happens next week. Let me know what you thought of the story. Let me know if you're going to Nationals to get that promo, if you are still enjoying Unstable as I am and happy with the reprint. Are you hoping that Wizards gets back on track and starts printing islands and not rivers and holes where islands should be? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at the Mana Leek. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/themanaleek, twitch.tv/themanaleek, and patreon.com/themanaleek. If you like the content, click that thumbs up button, click subscribe if you want to see more, and if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see you all next time.